Hello and welcome to another episode of Messy Magic. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a little while since I did an episode and I don't know, I've been wanting to do another one. I just didn't feel very clear on what I wanted to share with you and what was going on that I thought would be of any interest. Nevertheless, today, as I'm recording this, is Valentine's Day, and I wanted to do an episode about this, and you might not be listening to this on Valentine's Day, it could be far into the future. Either way, it's relevant, and it's not only for those who are in a couple or are wanting to be in a couple and with all the romance and, dare I say, commercialization that hangs around Valentine's Day. This episode is about you, because my take on love is that the absolute most important relationship in your life is the one that you have with yourself. That might sound, I don't know, a bit too simple or a bit cliche, but I really believe that it's true, and it's something I think that has been shown to me and ingrained into me over the past few years, especially since I had a child, and he's now 5. So, it's been a few years that I've sort of been learning that lesson more and more deeply. But today what I wanted to do is to share a few ideas. I've got 5 tips for how to show yourself some self-love. And that might be today on Valentine's Day or any day of the year, whenever you feel like it, to be honest. And even more than that, I think that this is such an important thing that we should feel obligated to ourselves in the kindest, most loving way, of course, not in the, the dictator kind of way. But yeah, I really believe that when we have a good relationship with ourselves and we feel like our self-love is overflowing, and that we feel fulfilled in ourselves, that's the best possible way for us to be able to sustain our love for other people and our ability to support other people ongoing. Because if you don't feel fulfilled and you don't feel that overflow of self-love, you will always be able to find a reserve and a way to give to others, but I don't think it's sustainable. So in my mind and in my world, the best way for me to support others is for me to actually love myself first. And that might look different for everybody, but if you haven't thought about it in this way before, I'm giving you full permission today to really ponder and consider what it would mean for you to feel like you are fully fulfilled and able to give from your reserves to others. And I won't rant on about that anymore, but it's something that I feel really deeply about. So let's get into it. How can you show yourself self-love? And I think one of the ways to look at this is to think about how you would show another person love. Like if you think about your partner or your child or your friend or your parents, how would you show them love? And I've got 5 ideas for you. So what you can do is you could take all of them. You could take one of them. You could cherry pick the ones that work for you. Do them all in one day, spread them across a few days, whatever works for you. The very first one is to get to know yourself better. Like if you were going out on a date with someone, you'd want to get to know them. And I think that, again, this might sound a bit kind of simple, like don't we all know ourselves? But I think that there's always other layers to ourselves that we might not be conscious of. And a couple of ways that you might be able to do this are to just journal. Grab a notebook and a pen or your phone or a Google Doc or whatever it is that you like to, gives you space to free write, and just journal whatever's in your mind. You could use some prompts, like you could think about things that you would ask a potential partner or a current partner or a potential loved one. Think about questions that you would ask them to get to know them better, and then just journal some answers. And it might surprise you what comes out if you just spend some time. Don't rush it and just allow yourself to sink into this exercise. Another way to get to know yourself better is to meditate. Again, you could do a guided meditation, or you could just set a timer and sit in silence for a few minutes and kind of just watch your breath and watch your thoughts and be the observer of what's going on in your body, without getting tangled up in it. Sort of just imagine that you are the sky and your thoughts and feelings are the clouds. And so you are able to kind of remove yourself and just watch these things go past, and then let them go. And that's another way to get to know yourself better. And another really simple one is just to sit in contemplation. And it's kind of a meditation, but you could do this anywhere. Like you could do it while you're waiting for something, or actually while you're waiting for something is a good one. While you're driving even, or in any situation where you might pull out your phone. Instead of pulling out your phone, just sit and think. And it might be uncomfortable at first if that's not what you're used to doing, but I think it would be really useful and a really great way to get to know yourself even better. My second tip on how to show yourself some self-love is to treat yourself to something that brings you pleasure. And this might come after you've done number one, when you've gotten to know yourself a little bit better and really had that chance to dive deep into your own thoughts and feelings, is becoming aware of something that brings you pleasure, and then treat yourself to it. It could be something as simple as going for a walk in nature, which is something that brings me deep, immense pleasure. Or it could be taking yourself out to a movie, treating yourself to that special chocolate that you love, spending time with one of your friends. Whatever it is that brings you pleasure, really mindfully choose and then spend time doing that. The third tip for showing yourself self-love or showing yourself love is to think about what you need to forgive yourself for. And this one might feel a little heavy, or it might feel light, or it might feel grey and murky, like you don't really know what to do with it. But I dare say most of us have something that we feel shame around, we feel regret or sorrow. And the reality is that when we carry that around, it weighs us down. And we can't change the past. We can certainly do things to make up for it, and we can at least learn a lesson to live our lives better in the future. But if possible, think about what you might be able to forgive yourself for, because I think that is a really beautiful way to show yourself some genuine love. Tip number 4 is to book some time for just you to do something that you'd love to do alone. And this could relate to number 2, which is treating yourself to something that brings you pleasure, or it might be something different. But it's putting time in the calendar just for you to spend time doing something that you'd love to do alone. And when I say put time in the calendar, I mean put it in your calendar, but also tell the other people that need to know. Like if you need to put it in their calendar, or if you need to tell them that it's happening, whether it's partner, kids, parents, friends, roommates, whoever might need to know, by putting it in the calendar and also telling other people about it, it's more likely to happen, at least in my world. And like a lot of the people that I know and work with, when you put something in the calendar, it makes it more real. So book yourself some time for just you, something that you wouldn't normally do. And finally, and this relates to earlier ones as well, but again, could be separate, is just spend some time listening to yourself. When I was thinking about what makes me feel loved, it's when someone takes the time to just listen to what I'm talking about, whether it's something deep and meaningful or something frivolous or something funny or something that's just on my mind. When I feel like I'm the center of somebody's attention, that's love. Like I feel supported and cared for. So how can you spend some time listening to yourself? And again, this could be journaling. This could be just spending some time thinking, but just like allowing those thoughts or those feelings or that energy that you have to be there without trying to change it. Spending some time allowing whatever's going on underneath the surface for you to be there and to acknowledge it. Imagine that you are a parent who is listening to your child, and your child has got something they want to complain about or something they're happy about and they want to share. Whatever it is that's going on under the surface for you, that's the child. And your job is to observe and listen and just allow it to be there and spend some time doing that. And I tell you what, over the past year, I'd say, having this kind of exercise, and I do it in different modalities, different ways, but allowing myself to have feelings and thoughts and energies without judging them has been a game changer. And the next step, after allowing it, is to see if you can love it. And that's probably a whole other topic, a whole other discussion. But just for today, see if you can spend some time just listening to yourself and just allowing whatever's present to be there. So those are my 5 tips. Again, it's getting to know yourself better through like journaling, meditating, just sitting in contemplation, treating yourself to something that brings you pleasure, forgiving yourself for what needs to be forgiven, booking some time just with you to do something that you would love to do alone, and then finally spending some time listening to yourself, observing what's going on for you. So as I said, take the ones that speak to you, leave the ones that don't. You could create a ritual around this, make it, a formalized practice where you're lighting a candle and burning some incense and having some beautiful music, or you could just do it, off the cuff in the car when you're driving to pick someone up or grab the groceries, whatever it is, like just spending some mindful moments for yourself. And also take it beyond today. I mean, there's a good chance you're listening to this not on Valentine's Day. So absolutely take it and run with it on any day of the year. And my last sort of point around this is to just keep it simple, because I think sometimes when we add these exercises into our life, it can feel like another thing on the to-do list. Like, I have to meditate today, or I have to journal today, or I have to find something to forgive myself for. No, don't don't treat it like that. You don't need to add any more stress to your life. These are designed to be self-love exercises. So if you find yourself feeling like it's a chore, maybe take a step back and decide whether you really want to do it. And pick something that does feel loving to yourself. So whatever you're doing today, this Valentine's Day, or today, any other day of the year, I hope that you find some time to offer yourself some genuine, deep self-love. And I hope that you have a magical day, and I'll talk to you again soon.